He signed deals he never fully read. He put his trust in the wrong hands. And by the time the truth finally hit him, the damage was already done. This is the story of Offset, Wack100, and millions of dollars that somebody clearly ain't being honest about. So let's really break this down. Shady contracts, broken loyalty, and the dark side of the music industry nobody likes to talk about. Now, before we even dive into the whole Wack100 and Offset situation, there's something major about the rap game that a lot of people still don't understand. The business side of this industry is ruthless. And when I say cold, I mean ice cold, fam. And Offset knows that firsthand. This is a dude who's been through the trenches of the music business and survived long enough to gain wisdom you can't Google. See, a lot of people sitting at home think rappers are just getting rich, living flashy, popping bottles, and buying foreign cars every week. But that image? That's not the full story. Not even close. Behind the scenes, labels and managers are playing chess while artists think they're playing checkers. Every single day, they take advantage of young talent, their ambition, their hunger, and their desperation to escape their circumstances. When you're young and starting for success, you'll sign almost anything put in front of you without asking the right questions. And when Offset sat down on Club Shay Shay, he didn't sugarcoat it. He told the raw truth about how artists get locked into situations early in their careers that end up following them and hurting them for years. Now, this right here is the game, and I need everybody watching to really lock in, because what Offset is breaking down applies to everything we're about to talk about. He's basically pulling the curtain back and showing exactly how the industry really operates. No filters. And this connects directly to why so many people automatically assumed there would be smoke between Offset and Wack100 once this story started making the rounds. Because Wack has long been accused of running the same exact plays on his artists, following the same blueprint that major labels have been using for decades. That same old playbook, different faces, same results. Let me make sure everybody really caught what Offset just laid out, because this part is key to understanding the whole finesse conversation. The album drops, the label turns around and makes $2–3 million off your music. And even after they recoup what they gave you up front, you're still stuck counting down debt because every little expense gets charged back to your account. That's the finesse. That's the game the industry has been running on artists forever, from the Motown era all the way up to today. And this context takes us straight to Wack100, and why so many people instantly believe the story about him allegedly finessing an artist. See, Wack has been in this music industry for decades now. He's managed major names like The Game, Blueface, and he's deeply tied into West Coast politics and street circles. The man knows everybody, and everybody knows him. But when it comes to contracts and business dealings, that's where the conversation always gets uncomfortable. His reputation in that area has been under the microscope for years, and it comes up almost every time his name hits the timeline. According to DJ academics and multiple industry voices who've spoken on this, Wack allegedly signed Blueface to a deal that gave him control of around 70% of Blueface earnings. 70%. Let that sink in. And people ask, how does that even happen? Simple. Wack positioned himself as both the label and the manager. As the label, he's reportedly taking 50% off the top. As the manager, he's grabbing another 20% on top of that. Academics called it double dipping. A blatant conflict of interest, where the same person who's supposed to protect the artist is also the one cashing in the most. So really ask yourself, who's looking out for the artist? Exactly. Nobody.
Well, you threatened to expose some information about Offset involving some of the drama with Cardi B.
Who?
You.
Oh, I kept the exposure from happening. You know, I got phone calls from people outside of Offset.
But here's where the real tension between Offset and Wack100 actually starts. And trust me, it ain't about some contract dispute or a bad business deal. This situation gets way more personal than that, and it involves people close to both sides. See, Wack100 has a relationship with Cardi B that goes back before she even knew Offset. They've been cool for years, and Wack has always publicly shown respect and support for Cardi. So when Offset and Cardi's issues started spilling out all over social media and the blogs, Wack found himself dragged right into the middle of their drama, whether he wanted to be there or not.
He's blaming me for what Blueface is doing. I didn't agree with Blueface for what he did.
What did Blueface do?
Well, he posted, I don't know if it was text messages, pictures, I don't know what it was, right? Of Offset and Rashawn around, right? I wake up to it. I guess it's on Twitter somewhere. I don't be on Twitter, I don't know. My phone's going crazy, right? It's Offset. He's telling me, only thing I'm hearing is Blueface. I call Blueface, hey man, what the f is going on?
So peep this. Wack is basically admitting on camera that he had information in his hands that could have seriously damaged Offset's public image and reputation, and he chose not to let fly. He made a conscious decision to keep it contained. Now ask yourself, why would he do that? Simple. His long-standing respect for Cardi B in a relationship that goes back years. But before he decided to hold back, Wack had already put Offset on blast publicly in a major way. He jumped straight to his Instagram story and wrote, "Little weird as in asterisk, hey, I told you keep me out your emotional shit." Asterisk, that post alone turned the pressure all the way up. And this is where the situation really starts getting messy, way more complicated than most people realized at the time. Blueface, who is Wack's own artist and someone he manages, went public with some extremely damaging claims about Offset, allegedly saying Offset hooked up with Krazy Rock while he was still married to Cardi B. That allegation hit different, especially with everything already going on between Blueface and Krazy at the time. The moment that info dropped, Offset was heated. He immediately reached out to Wack, trying to get him to rein his artist in and stop the bleeding, before even more details spilled into the public. So Offset was moving under the belief that Wack was behind the exposure, that he had basically given Blueface the green light to put his business out in the streets. But Wack has stood on this story to this day, saying he had no idea any of that was coming until it was already out there and spreading across the internet. According to Wack, Blueface was acting on his own, moving on his own time, making his own calls without checking in with his manager first. And here's where things get interesting. Wack was fully prepared to step back and let Blueface go all the way with it, exposing everything he allegedly knew about Offset. At that point, Wack was fed up. He felt like he was being blamed for something he says he didn't set up, approve, or even know about beforehand. But then a phone call came in that changed everything. That call came from Cardi B herself. She reached out directly and basically said, "Look, we already separated. This really ain't my situation anymore, and I don't want to be dragged deeper into it." But she respectfully asked him to keep things contained and not let it spiral any further. And out of respect for their long history, Wack agreed.
What is going on with 42 Doug and you? He clapped back. You said Offset ran his pockets in the studio.
That's not what I said.
What'd you say?
I said, you tried to leave the dice game. Offset wasn't going for it. He went outside. He was walking away.
So the whole Cardi Offset Wack situation ended up getting de-escalated, largely because Cardi stepped in and asked for peace. But that part? That's not even what really had the streets talking. Now, let's get into what really kept this conversation alive for years. The incident everybody whispers about. The one that allegedly sparked a whole chain reaction. All right, now we're at the meat of this entire story. The situation that's been told, retold, challenged, denied, confirmed, and debated across damn near every hip-hop podcast, platform, and timeline for years. The infamous dice game. We're talking about the dice game between Offset and 42 Doug that allegedly went down at QC Studios back in 2019. Wack100 was there that night, and he's been the main narrator of this story ever since, breaking it down across multiple interviews and podcast appearances. And according to Wack's version of events, this is exactly how everything unfolded that night.
So what tapping pockets is like, I'm gonna rob you, but it's like metaphorically, I'm like figuring out if you have anything to steal.
42 Doug had a bunch of money in both his pockets. You know, he got skinny jeans on, so both got his pockets. Offset didn't take too kind to him walking away from the dice game when it was Offset dice. He was hitting 20,000.
So you can't just walk away from the dice game? No. That's a violation?
See, Wack is clearing up something very important right there. He never actually said that Offset straight up robbed Doug and took his money. That was never the story he was telling. What he said was that Offset tried to check him for leaving the dice game early, right when it was Offset's turn to roll and he was on a hot streak. Let me break down exactly how Wack says that night went, step by step, so everybody understands the full sequence. This was 2019, specifically the last night of the Lil Baby tour running through Atlanta. Wack had brought Blueface out there for one reason only, to lock in a studio session with Offset. That was the whole point of being at QC Studios that night. He reached out to Pierre P to get QC opened up so they could record. Now, for people who don't understand dice game etiquette, this is important. In the streets, when someone is on a hot streak, hitting numbers, building momentum, you don't just scoop your money up and walk off. That's a violation. It's considered disrespectful to the shooter and to the entire game. You're supposed to stay and let them finish their roll. Now, this is where things escalated, according to Wack's account. QC Studios isn't a place where the gate opens automatically. It has to be opened from inside. As Doug is heading out, Offset jumps up and follows behind him. Wack says he followed too, along with a few people from the tour. Offset walks up as Doug is moving away. He reaches toward Doug's left pocket, where the money is visibly bulging through his skinny jeans. Wack says Offset didn't actually pull the money out. He doesn't know if he was trying to grab it, turn him around, or just stop him. But either way, Doug turns around. And when he does, Offset hits him right in the face. Clean shot, according to Wack. After that punch landed, he started counting, waiting to see if there would be any reaction. 1 to 1,000. And 42 Doug didn't react at all. No swing back. No retaliation. Nothing. Now here's the part that really shook people and flipped the entire narrative. When 42 Doug went live on Instagram, calling Wack a liar and saying none of that happened, Wack responded in a way nobody expected. He pulled up the DMs, direct messages from Offset himself. In those messages, Offset basically confirms Wack's version of events, saying, "Nah, UNC right." I gotta respect what he's saying. Wack even shows the timestamps, the dates, lining up perfectly with when Doug was doing his rant online. So while Doug was saying it never happened, Offset was messaging Wack behind the scenes, asking why Doug was lying. According to Wack, Offset confirmed every detail he had already laid out. And that right there is why this story refuses to die. Meaning Offset was essentially co-signing everything Wack had been saying about that night, directly contradicting what 42 Doug was claiming in public. Wack even pointed out how crazy the situation was, saying Offset had just been cussing him out not long before over the Blueface situation, going completely off on him. But when the Doug situation came up, the energy shifted. That's when Offset hit him with the "nah, you my uncle," and started backing up his version of events. Those messages? Wild, especially considering how heated things had been just days earlier. But 42 Doug was not accepting any of that narrative. He jumped on Instagram Live and told a completely different story, and he took it all the way there. He put his entire reputation and his mother's life on the line, saying he was by himself with $100,000, that people surrounded him, tried to pressure him, and he didn't give up a single dollar. He said he walked out with all his money and all his jewelry, untouched. And in the streets, that's as serious as it gets. You don't put your mama on it, unless you're saying you're telling the absolute truth. That's not something you just play with. It was a bold statement to make on camera for the whole world to see. But Doug didn't stop there. He started hinting at retaliation that allegedly happened after that night, which only added more fuel to the fire. Even DJ Academics, who's known and worked with Wack for years, admitted that at this point, he can't fully verify everything being claimed anymore. And when Academics starts pumping the brakes, that says a lot. Now, people in the culture tried to connect everything together. The business tension, the street politics, the personal issues, to explain why Migos eventually split up. Conspiracy theories were flying everywhere. But Offset himself finally sat down and shut all that down. When Keke Palmer asked him directly about the Migos breakup, he didn't dodge it. He said the real issues were on the business side. He explained that as he got older, had kids, and started paying closer attention to his finances, he realized the structure wasn't working in his favor. He wanted a bigger piece, not from Quavo or Takeoff, but from the business itself. And he made it clear it wasn't about ego, it wasn't about being the star, and it definitely wasn't about female drama. Not Saweetie, not Cardi. That narrative was fabricated, plain and simple. Offset said the group was generating massive money, but the setup wasn't allowing him to grow the way he needed to. And with a family to feed, that mattered. Later on The Breakfast Club, they broke down that interview and addressed those same rumors head on. So no, Saweetie wasn't the reason Offset and Quavo fell out. And she wasn't the reason Offset and Cardi divorced either. Offset himself confirmed that when he sat down on this is Keke Palmer. It was deeper than that. Way deeper. I don't really want to dwell on it, but Offset said it was something deeper than that. He even suggested that business people were actively plotting against the group, try to engineer division between family members so they could maintain control. I think people was trying to tear my situation down in that moment, he said. When asked if there were business people plotting against both him and the group, he didn't hesitate. For sure. They were trying to stop us from being strong, so we couldn't go against them together. He went on to explain that he would see headlines, but the group, being men of action, didn't even play those games. And that ties right back to what we discussed at the start of this video. The industry is designed to keep artists divided and weak, so they can't collectively fight back against shady deals and exploitation. Offset saw that pattern unfold not just in his career, but within his own family. One of the heaviest, most vulnerable moments in any recent interview came when Offset opened up about Takeoff's tragic passing. He revealed guilt he had never spoken about publicly until sitting down with Keke Palmer. When people like that pass away, especially so suddenly, it makes you reflect, he said. I never really said this. I felt like some responsibility was on me. What if I didn't go solo? What if I just stayed and dealt with the business issues? Maybe we would have been right there in that moment, because I know how we moved when I'm around a little bit. Let that sink in. Offset was essentially saying that if he hadn't pursued a solo career and had stayed to navigate the group's business struggles, maybe Takeoff wouldn't have been in that exact situation when tragedy struck. He knew how the group moved together, how he was often the one reading the room and saying, "We need to get up out of here." That night, he wasn't there to do that. On top of carrying that internal guilt, Offset had to deal with internet speculation. People claiming he and Takeoff weren't on good terms before his death. These false narratives only added to the pain. So now, after laying out everything, the industry finessing Offset experienced the Cardi B and Blueface drama, creating tension with Wack, the infamous dice game, the Migos split, and Offset speaking his truth. Let's bring it all together. When it comes to the dice game, Wack showed Offset's DMs, confirming his version of events against what 42 Dugg was claiming. Offset wasn't beefing with Wack about that night. He was co-signing everything Wack said. Before we wrap this up, here's something powerful Offset said about hip-hop and his place in it. Despite all the drama, the business struggles, and personal hardships, he still believes in the culture and his role in it. So, you don't think hip-hop is declining? Keke Palmer asked. No, not while I'm in it. Not at all, he said. It's richer than it's ever been. And now, there are black executives in the buildings like never before. It's a new era. Buildings like the label offices, making decisions more than ever before. And we still run the culture. That's the mindset of someone who's been through the fire and come out the other side, still standing. Offset is still in this game, still making moves, and still learning from every mistake, in business and in life. At the end of the day, that growth and resilience, that's what it's really all about. So that's the complete breakdown, y'all. We went through Offset's own words on predatory record deals, Wack100's detailed dice game story, 42 Dugg's passionate denial, the Cardi B drama that created real tension, the truth about the Migos split, and everything in between. Now I want to hear from you. Who do you believe in this situation, Wack or Dugg? And do you think the industry is still finessing artists the same way Offset described experiencing early in his career? Stay tuned, because we'll keep diving deep into hip-hop drama and industry politics.